All right, hey everybody. Released October 1971. Hound Dog Taylor and the House Rockers. Featuring Hound Dog Taylor on lead guitar and vocals. Brewer Phillips, a second guitar, playing bass lines. There was no bass. And Ted Harvey on drums. And this was the song that pretty much kicked off, began Alligator Records in 1971. And I think that's where I first... so I have heard some of this one. I haven't heard the Bonnie Raitt or the J.J. Cale, but I have heard this one because I listened to it. A blues collection. It might even be an Alligator Records collection, and obviously this was the first one that kicked off Alligator Records to be a mainstay on the scene, on the blues scene. So this was the first one, and this was Hound Dog Taylor. And I'm going to do his probably most definitive song, at least during this period, and that was Give Me Back My Wig, which I still don't know what that means. And I think for the 30 years or 20 plus years that I've knew about this song, I've always just assumed it was about a wig, but maybe there's I've come to read a little bit that it could be about something else. Okay, before he takes off, because I think he's about to rip into it. Yeah, so even before I did this, I didn't realize it was two guitars playing that. I mean, maybe I heard it subconsciously. I knew it wasn't bass, but yeah, I didn't realize it was two guitars, or never looked at it. So hearing it now, yeah, I can see what the second guitar is doing. It's really cool to hear. And it really does add to it in a certain way, it probably takes away from it in some ways, but there's definitely things that he's doing where it feels like, you got two guitars dual and you're just missing the bass. But you have that sort of, you really have that, back and forth. It's like a communication there, they're all hitting on different spots. So I had Brewer Phillips on second guitar, and the drums is killing it, yeah. And it's so great to hear because it does feel very... very nuanced. Like it's not just a straight beat. He's keeping really busy overall. He's doing a lot of different stuff, a lot of fills, a lot of cymbal work. So it's not just like a straight blues beat, heavy. So it's really full sounding. We'll finish this. Here we go. Let's keep the ride. So, yeah, so tight, and it really feels like it's interesting to hear because the drummer, at least in the headphones, the drummer really feels like he's a major part of this. He doesn't sound like he's just doing support. It sounds like he's one of the key, because it's because there's two guitars and the bass isn't sort of melding with the drums, and sort of creating a unit there. So it really does feel like he's just another rhythm instrument, sort of as part of the mix and part of the interplay, with both guitars. So obviously, yeah, and he goes into slide there, which is reminiscent of like, Elmore, Chicago blues, Elmore James, and such like that. So, but yeah, overall, I hadn't heard a lot of Hound Dog Taylor other than this song, and but this was his debut in 1971, and there was a lot of and he was known as somebody who wasn't he wasn't looking for trying to be the blues lead guitar player idol, like like a B.B. King or a Buddy Guy or Freddie King at the time. He just considered himself a pretty run-of-the-mill guitar player, and just wanted to have a good time and have people have a good time and play out and just be keep things rocking. They said that Jerry Garcia famously managed to learn and play the guitar with one finger too few following a childhood accident. He was left with just 4 fingers on his right hand. Whereas legendary bluesman Hound Dog Taylor, on the other hand, had the opposite dilemma. Born with a congenital deformity known as polydactyly, Taylor was famous among guitarists for having 6 fingers on both hands, contrary to it being any type of fretting benefit, as is usual for the condition. The extra digits were rudimentary nubbins and could not be moved. One night while drunk, he cut off the extra digit on his right hand using a straight razor. And I'll include a picture there. And anyway, in a brief interview, he said, when did you start playing? In 1935, around Tachula, Mississippi. His influences were Elmore James, Lightnin' Hopkins, Jimmy Rogers, Skip James, and he said he saw John Lee Hooker. We all came through these together. He said there are no amplifiers or nothing like that. We just played in this house, called it a barrel house. And he famously said, when I die, they'll say he couldn't play shit, but he sure made it sound good. That was the self-written epitaph that Theodore Roosevelt, known as Hound Dog Taylor, left behind. Though he'd been gigging around Chicago for years, it wasn't until a fan named Bruce Iglauer was moved by his raw shouting vocals and slide guitar and wanted to record him, and turned out the beginning of Alligator Records, the label that documented a lot of important blues artists of today and yesterday, proving that the music was far from dead. He didn't use a bass because he said he couldn't keep up with him. He couldn't keep up with the bass player. Like what had happened before in other blues bands, he used a second guitar for bass lines. There was a drive that you couldn't get out of a Fender bass. The sound was so raw and distorted. Hound Dog Taylor played on a $50 Japanese guitar through Sears Roebuck amplifiers and cracked speakers. The whole attitude was, who gives a damn? We're just playing for fun, no finesse. And it was totally unvarnished by virtue of the energy level and distortion. And it spoke very clearly to rock and roll fans, which is one of the reasons that he had success in the last few years of his life outside of the blues world when he was recording with Alligator Records. So there weren't a lot. It says there weren't a lot of other well-known blues performers at the time. You had B.B. King, Muddy Waters, Howlin' Wolf, Freddie King, but after that, the list was short of the people that were on the college circuit. Luther Allison made a little noise after that. Magic Sam had died. It wasn't a big crowd. Hound Dog wasn't at the level of any of these people that I mentioned. He was a club artist who did some concert work. He did some shows with Muddy, one at the New York Folk Festival in Buffalo. He literally had to, he said, I remember that being because Buffalo was dry and Hound Dog and Brownie McGee were both alcoholics. I literally had to break into a liquor store and steal some bottles of whiskey for them because they were too shaky to perform. I remember that we did leave some money, though. We did steal the liquor. But mostly he did clubs and coffee houses. There were just clubs around the country that he'd play at, like Alice's Revisited here in Chicago, or Joe's Place, where he'd play for 14 nights in a row, and it'd be full every night. there were 9,000 copies sold the first year, and it took him around the world. It was, as I said, the first release on Alligator Records, and he died in 1975 after 2 more Alligator Records releases. So that is Hound Dog Taylor with "Give Me Back My Wig," and as I said, possibly, with the meaning of the song, I never really looked into it, but it's possible from what I read, it could be just a euphemism or a metaphor for just feeling good. Give me back that good feeling. Anyway, regardless, it's a good feeling song. Definitely needed something, a blues injection into the 1970s. So I appreciate you all being here. This is a really fun retrospective for me. Anyway, this is channel Subterranean Visions, kind of taken from the novel, so the Subterraneans, Jack Kerouac, thinking of going underground to hear music and enjoy it in a space with people that are there to listen and hear the experimentation, hearing the communication between fellow people. And anyway, recommend an album. I'm going to do an album listen soon. There's a list of albums that you can vote on, but if you got another album, if it's something that I want to throw on the list, I'll throw it on the list, and you can vote for that. As easy as that. So I appreciate it. Have yourself a great day, and we'll see you on the next round. Take care. Bye-bye.